Hello students, this is Anjana from Computer Science Department. In this class, we are going to discuss about X509 certificates and public key infrastructure. Now, let us see about this X509 certificates. So, in the concept cryptography, X509 means it is a term which is used for providing a particular standard for the certification. Suppose if you want to if you are giving a marks that is for some products that we are using, if you are giving the marks like ISA, just like that, if it is having the brand like ISA, definitely we will definitely will purchase that product. Why? Because it is a brand product. Just like that, if it is some certificate in our security systems, then it is the symbol that it is going to provide much security. Here the term X509 certificate is related to the cryptography. So here the International Telecommunication Union for the telecommunication is going to provide this certification. Why? Because telecommunication is the International Telecommunication Union is a uh, union which is used to use the union which is going to provide access for the users to send or receive the messages through that they are communicating with each other. While communicating with each other, those persons has to check whether the messages are sending properly or not. For that reason itself, we have to check once whether it is providing the standard authentication directory service or not. Okay. So here the International Telecommunication Union is going to provide the standard for authentication directory service. Okay. Here the directory is a server or distributed set of servers that maintains a database of information about the users. Okay. Here it is going to use wherever the system for the telecommunication we are using. In that system for telecommunication, we are going to use a directory or a server distributed set of servers that maintains a database information about the users. But here the information which includes at a mapping from the user's name to the network address, as well as other attributes and about the users. See, whenever you are going to send the information or receive the information, here the term X509 defines the alternative authentication protocols, and based upon the use of the public key certificates, we are going to transfer the data from the sender to the receiver. So here whatever the information that is including as a mapping from the users name to a network address, as well as other attributes and the information about the users also. So here the term X509 defines alternative authentication protocols based upon the use of public key certificates. So here it not only now only you are using it at in the initial dates, since from 1988 also we are using this X509 certificates. So then the user related to this X509 certificate is here the X509 certificate is an important standard. Why? Because very important standard. Why? Because the certificate structure and authentication protocols defined what are the protocols and what are the structures that we are going to define in the X509 are used in the variety context. So suppose if in the protocols format, MIME means multiple instructions, multiple executable mode. Okay. IP means internet protocol. SSL means, see, in the computer networks you have already seen that the message is a divide when the message is sending from sender to the receiver, we are having different types of layers. First one is application layer, presentation layer, transport layer, session layer, data link layer. Just like that we are having so many layers, no? So at that each and every layer also they has to provide security while sending the message from sender to the receiver. These are the multiple formats they are having. So at each and every format also here it has to check whether it is providing security or not. After checking all these things, if it is going to provide a better service, then it can say that okay, it is a best product, and it is a X509 certified product. Okay, then so examples for this format is, we have already said multiple instruction, multiple executable mode. That is, at a time we are going to send multiple instructions, and at a time the multiple instructions are being executed. And next one, internet protocol. Through the internet protocol, IP security, internet protocol security, we are going to send the data here. And next one, SSL, secure socket layer. Here about the socket layer also we have already discussed in that chapter. So here the secure socket layer is, each and every term is divided into different parts. If the message is too length, each and every term is divided into the part, and each part has a connection with the another part. So based upon these connections, it is going to provide the security. So this is a secured electronic transition. So from this purely we can say that the X509 is based upon the use of the public key cryptography and digital signature. So basically what is the digital signature means, we are not physically marking any type of thing. Digitally we are going to provide a signature to that particular data, such that the data is fully secured through the digital security itself. We are going to provide the security for that particular data what we are going to send. Okay, so if you have observed the user of the X509, why this many times we are saying that it is an important standard? Why? Because the certificate structure, what are the certificate structure and the authentication protocols defined in the X509 are used in the variety context. This format is used in, we have already said that MIME format, IP security, secure socket layer, transport layer security, and secure extension electronic transition, and X509 based on the use of the public key cryptography and digital signature. So if you have observed these certificates related to this X509, in this X509 scheme, the public key certificate is associated with each user. So if you have observed that user certificate, certificates are created by some trusted certificated authority and placed in a directory by the CA or by the user. So the directory server itself is not responsible for the creation of the public keys. So for the certification function, it merely provides an easily accessible location for the users to obtain the certificates. So the standard uses the notification for a certificate of, this is the standard that it is going to use. That CA means certificate authority, and the CA signs the certificate. Here the term A refers to the user A. That is, for the user A, it is going to provide the security that the user A is a genuine person, that he is going to send the uh, very well established and genuine message, just like that. So if it has observed all these criteria, whenever it is going to create the public key for that certification function, if it is it merely provides an easily accessible location for the users to obtain the certificates, but the directory itself is not responsible. Whatever the directory you are using, it is not responsible for that, the creation of the public keys. So, or for the creation of the function, it merely provides an accessible location for the users to obtain the certificates. So here the basically what are the standards that we are going to use is, this is certificate authority, and this is for the user A, it is going to provide certificate authority. And next here CA means the certified authority, where that certified authority signs is going to sign that the certificate, what are the certificate that we are giving for the user, we are going to use the give the certificate for the user with the private key. in detail we can say that this is how we are going to provide the certificate authority. Here if the corresponding public key is known as a user, then that particular user can verify that a certificate is signed. So by that we can say that the certificate authority is valid. So from here itself we can check that it is going to send the valid user or not. Okay, whether it is if it is saying that the certificate authority of a user A, then definitely we can give the assurance that the particular user A can send the very genuine message, and it cannot be a fake it cannot be a type of message which cannot be disturbed, or which cannot cause a data loss, or which cannot hack the data of the receiver. Okay, such that even not from the sender side, even from the receiver side also, at the both sides, wherever the communication is going to be happen in between the two devices, in those two devices it has to check, and after checking it is going to provide the certificate authority for it. So whenever it is going to give the certificate for that particular sort of data, then it can say that it is not responsible. It is not responsible for the creation of public keys. Okay, mainly responsible is it is going to provide the certificate authority. Okay. That is it can merely access the data location of the user's obtain, that is going to obtain the certificates, that he can get the access. Okay, suppose if somebody has he want to send some data to somebody, and he want to see the profile of that particular user, but he doesn't have the permission to see the profile of that particular user. If this X509 certificate has provided a certificate that if this person is has provided the XYZ certificate, then this particular person have the access to see the data of the receiver. Okay, this is how the process is going to be happen. Okay. So if you have observed these figures, these are the formats of the X509 certificates. So if you have observed this one, so this is the X509 certificate. Actually, this is the format of the X509 certificate. So if you have observed this format, at the beginning itself, we are going to provide the version of the user. And next one, whatever the serial number for the whatever the serial number for that certificate has given to that user has to be checked. And next one, what are the algorithms that we are going to use it for that type of formats? That is not in depth, just briefly. That other person also has to know. Why? Because without knowing he can't able to process that data. So he has to know what type of serial number, and what type of algorithm, and what type of parameters that he has used. Okay, next one, we have to check what is the issuer name. Issuer name means the person who is going to issue the this particular certificate of that user. Then there we are going to place the data of that particular issuer. So after writing the issuer name, we have to check the period of validity, that up to how long it is going to perform the same standards. That just like that you have to check. Next one, this is subject name. Next one, this is that the previously one is subject's algorithm identifier. Next one is here, this is the basic thing you have to keep it in mind. Here this is the algorithm, and that one is the parameters that we are going to use at the sender's public key info. And next one, this is the unique this is a unique identifier that is going to apply on that particular kind of certificate. And last one is the certificate. In that signature, it includes algorithm, parameters, and encrypted data, whatever the data it will be, it is on that data. So if you have observed this one, now let us see the term related to the version. Version differentiates among the successive versions of the certificate format. Suppose if the default version is 1, if the issuer unique identifier or the subject event identifier is present, then definitely the value must be the version 2. And next one, if one or more expressions are present, the versions must be version 3. So if it is having the more than one version, then we can write that version as a version 3. So how we can differentiate among these successive versions is, we are going to provide the certificate format of the default version. So if the issuer unique identifier or subject identifier is present, then the value must be version. So if one or more extensions, if we are having one or more extensions that we are going to present, then that version number will be changed to version 2 to version 3. So if you have observed about this serial number, obviously for that serial number we are going to issue an integer unique value, which is going to issued by the authority, computer authority. And next one, that is unambiguously associated with the certificates. So why it is the chance of getting ambiguity means, at a time the lot of user is going to access that particular kind of data. At the time there may be a chance of getting ambiguity. Then if it is an extension of that particular data, then it is called a version. So here about the serial number also, an integer value unique within the issuing CA that is unambiguously associated with this certificate. And next one, what is signature algorithm for the identifier? The algorithm used to sign the certificate and that is responded within the associated parameters. Why? Because this information is not repeated. It should not be repeated once. And the signature field at the end of the certificate, and the field has the little. Okay, entirely the field has little, and at the end of the field has, we have to provide the certificate. So if you have observed this issuer name, X500 is the name of the certified authority that created and signed this certificate. So if you have observed the period of the validity, even after providing the certificate also, for that certificates we are going to provide the validity for that particular certificate. So X500 is the name of the certified authority, and it is signed it as a certificate. And next one, we have to check the period of the validity. So how we are going to check the period of validity? It consists of 2 days. How many dates it is having? That first date and last date. For each and every product, even whatever the product we are using nowadays, for that products also we are having up to start for this period to this period we have to use that product. After that product it will be expired, just like that. Then you can erase a doubt that how these products will be expired. Why even these products also having the chance to expire. Why it will be expired means, after expired of the product we can't get the access to use that product. Okay, that is how it is going to give the period of the validity. And next, period of the validity consists of the 2 days, we have already know, that is the first and the last on which the certificate is valid. So next, what is the subject name here? Here the name of the user, the person who is going to use that, the name of the user to whom the certificate refers, he is also that is his certificates also refers that the name of the user to whom the certificate refers, that is this certificate certifies the public key. Okay, public key means he can access that particular product. So the subject who holds the corresponding private key. Okay, until that user is going to hold the private key, after getting the certificate, he can have the access that he will get the public key to access the particular product. So if you have observed the subject's public key information, the public key of the subject plus an identifier of the algorithm for which the key is to be used, together with any associated parameters. So an optional bit, string field, is used to identify the uniquely the issuing certified authority. So in the event the X500 name has been reused for the different entities. So the subject unique identifier, in the subject identifier, an optional bit string field is used to identify the uniquely the subject in the event X500 name has been refused for the different entities. So then let us see about the extensions. A set of one or more extension fields. Now let us see about the set of one or more extension fields. The extensions were added in the version 3 and are discussed later in this section. So now let us see about this signature. The signature covers all the other fields of the certificate, and it contains the hash code of the other fields encrypted with the certified authority's private key. So this field, what are the field? It is going to include the signature algorithm identifier. It has to check whether the signature covers all the other fields of the certificate or not. Okay. So now let us see about this public key infrastructure. RFC 2822 is the Internet Security Glossary. That is, it is based upon the internet. We are going to sending this particular data. So at this particular concept, it is going to define the public key infrastructure. We can represent it as PKI. So as a set of hardware, software, and the people, policies, procedures, which is used to need or create or manage or store or distribute and revoke the digital certificates based upon the asymmetric cryptography. So the principal objective for developing the public key infrastructure is to enable the secure, convenient, and efficient acquisition of the public key. So the Internet Engineering Task Force, we can write it as like IETF. The Internet Engineering Task Force and the Public Key Infrastructure and the working group has been the driving force behind the setting up the formal and the model based on the X509. So it is suitable for deploying a certified based architecture on the internet. So whenever you are going to use this public key infrastructure, it is going to provide the whenever if you are going to create or some, if you are manage the data, if you want to store the data, for that also you have to provide some sort of security. So then this public key infrastructure enables the secured, convenient, and efficient acquisition, such that the whenever if you are using this Internet Engineering Task Force, the public key infrastructure in the working group has been the driving force behind the, that is it is basically the driving force means the driven force, that is the basic thing that is going to use here. So setting up the formal and generic model based upon the X509, that is suitable for deploying a certificate based architecture on the internet. So if you have observed this end entity, a generic term used to donate the end users devices, for example just take servers and routers, or any other entity that can be identified in the subject field of the public key certificate. So the end entity typically consumes an vendor or support, that is public key infrastructure related services. So the issuer of the certificates and the certificates revocation issues, it may also support a variety of administrative functions, although these are often delegated to one or more registration authorities. So if it is optional component, that it can assume a number of administrative functions from the certified authority, then it is associated with the end entity registration process, but it can assist a number for the other areas as well. So now here let us see how it is going to issue the certified authority. It can set and delegate to publish that one. So the generic term used to denote this one is method for storing the certificates, and also so that they can be retrieved by the entities. So if you have observed this public key infrastructure architecture model, this is how it will be. If it is the public key users can have the access to all the data. So it is a certificates or CRL's responsibility. So this is the end entity. So this is the registration authority. First of all, it has to register. After the registration process, from the beginning itself, it is having the end entity. From the end entity to the user, it is going to set the CRL for that issuer, and if the cross certification is going to be happen, here if it is certified authority, and certified authority is issued by the cross certification. So after this is given, it is going to issued by the CRL issuer, then definitely it is going to be published. So this is a public key infrastructure management entities. So up to here we have discussed X509 certificates and public key infrastructure. In the next class we will discuss about the next topics in the unit 4.